So think of that first year. Does anything stand out, memorable student interactions or moments? I mean, again, it was 1 year. And like you said, I remember that. I kind of forgot about the rotations where you'd have them for like 6 weeks and then you get a new batch of kids. So, you weren't with them for a real long time, but what stands out memory wise to you about the kids that you taught?
Well, a few things just came to mind. One of them is, we did the Shark Tank projects for the eighth graders, and there were some really great ideas, and I think everybody really enjoyed it for the most part. But yeah, I was impressed with some of the ideas that eighth graders were coming up with in a short amount of time for these projects. And ironically, when I was working for this company down here in Florida, they have a warehouse up there in LaGrange, and I ended up back in LaGrange for a few months. And I ran into one of my old students at a gas station, and he even mentioned that. He's like, I still remember that Shark Tank project we did in your class, and it was like that's kind of cool because he was graduated now, and it's like that was just a couple weeks of his life from eighth grade, and so that was kind of neat. And then something else that I recall, I'll never forget sixth grade class. I was teaching this digital literacy, and we watched some pretty horrific videos, real things that have happened to people, just trying to warn them about the dangers.
Yep.
And when I would ask the class, this was a real learning experience for me. I would ask the class how many of them have had similar conversations with strangers, that went along the lines of some of these horrible things we were seeing or the grooming that led to them. And it was almost every time, at least half or maybe more of the class would raise their hands, and they were sixth graders, and they would, so many of them had already experienced these dangerous situations or potentially dangerous situations, and their parents probably had no clue. And it was really alarming. Something memorable for me is just how dangerous it is and how accessible our children are on those phones. And that was several years ago. I'm sure it's probably worse now.